Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, so if I stumble over my words moving forwards, apologies about that, and also apologies if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well. If there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it can't be helped, and hopefully it's not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Junior Eurovision 2024 related video here on my channel. Just a few days ago, at the time of this recording, the 2024 edition of the Junior Eurovision Song Contest took place in Madrid, Spain, with 17 nations involved. Right now, I'm about to go through all of those performances and give you my somewhat brief thoughts on what I saw and heard last weekend. As always, you're welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything JESC 2024 related by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. So, after the live stream last Saturday, I did go through most of all of the performances again, and I have also watched the recap video which is on the Junior Eurovision YouTube channel, which I have loaded up right now, just to make sure I don't forget anything too important about the performances from this year's competition. In terms of the show as a whole, excluding the performances for the time being, I thought it was pretty good. The hosts were fine, didn't like the stage design one bit. In fact, I think some of the performances didn't quite hit top gear because of the way the stage looked. There needed to be more vibrancy, more lights, more effects, more something, because some of these performances came across as quite lackluster when they should have been really standing out from the field. Estonia is a good example of this one, perhaps, maybe France to some extent as well. In terms of the use of AI, I thought it was cheap. I didn't like it. I know a few other people have complained about it as well. To me, it's such a cop-out to use something like this so openly anyway. The postcards don't really matter that much. They're just there as filler. But AI-generated versions of these children felt somewhat uneasy, didn't it? And I hope we don't have anything like it again in either the adult competition or indeed the junior competition. Perhaps the worst part of the entire broadcast was the way the jury votes were presented. If you've seen my reaction to the results as they came in video, which went up last Saturday, not long after the show was over, I was very confused by what was happening. I didn't know who was getting points from where. I had to tilt my head ever so slightly to see what the hell was going on. I think even the crowd had a bit of difficulty working out exactly what was happening. I think it had been announced prior to the live show. I just hadn't seen anything about it whatsoever, so I came into it completely blind, didn't like it one bit, found it confusing. Thankfully they kept it normal for when the public results were announced. That's the way it should be in this vertical presentation, and I hope that they don't use that system again moving forwards. Anyway, let me now go through the songs. What I can tell you is that I have great respect for these young artists, because they can all sing better than me, and they all gave it a right good go, so credit where credit is due. And I can also safely say, out of the 17 songs this year, I actually don't mind all of them. This is usually the case, where once you have track after track in the running order, on the day when it really matters most, your appreciation for the songs grows. Even if you're not such a fan of them, you can appreciate something about them a little bit more than you did several days beforehand, if you see what I mean. That is certainly the case with me with regards to this year's crop of artists and tunes. So I'm rambling big time. Let's crack on. Italy opened proceedings. A good start to the show. This was Simone Grande with Pyjama Party. Finished in 9th place with 98 points, joint 12th in the online vote, 9th in the jury vote, receiving a high mark of 8 from the Armenian jury. He sang quite well, looked quite confident, had dancers on stage with him, pillows and cushions everywhere, that trampoline in the middle of the stage with a white curtain around it and a guy jumping up and down for pretty much the entire 3 minutes. He was in a blue jacket, blue trousers, white top. An image of a house on the backdrop with lots of flashing lights, pyro in the final third as well. This was good. It was happy, it was playful, it wasn't taking itself too seriously, which is completely fine. The atmosphere really came through watching the live stream as well. Sometimes, at the junior contest and the adult contest, the atmosphere feels quite dull. The crowd are dead for some of the performances. Case in point, Latvia at the adult contest earlier this year. The crowd barely knew what the hell was going on, in my opinion. That's what it felt like watching it on television. But it seemed to me as though the crowd were really, really engaged with pretty much every performance this year, and that was really satisfying to see. I thought Simone did a great job. I like this song. I have nothing else to say about it. It was a job well done. Moving on to song 2, and I feel really bad for Annabelle here. This was the Estonian track, their second entry after debuting last year. Slight progress in terms of the result. It was Tanavad, of course, and this finished right near the bottom in the online vote, 15th place 41 points, in the jury vote 14th place 14 points, so 14th place 55 points overall, a high mark of 6 from the French jury. The studio cut of this song is excellent, one of the strongest this year. Live wasn't quite hitting the money. No problem with her, pink outfit, moving about fairly confidently, 2 dancers with her, image of a busy cityscape on the backdrop. But this is a case of where the stage design and the presentation of it just wasn't coming together terribly well. I don't know how else to phrase it to you, but for such a lively number, it's as if the energy of this track was completely vacuumed up just before things got going. And I felt really bad because I suppose at times she came across as maybe not wholly comfortable on that stage. She still did a smashing job, don't get me wrong, and I will be keeping an eye on any music she releases moving forwards. But yeah, it felt to me as though this song has so much potential, and whoever it was in her team shattered that potential. So I blame them, not her at all. She did the best job she could. Like I said, the studio cut is excellent. The song is absolutely one of my favourites of the year, and I hope Estonia come back next year and get the appreciation they deserve, particularly in the online vote. Moving on to song 3, this was Albania, and it was Nicole Chabeli with Valzoi, 7th place. Pretty damn impressive, 126 points. Mainly the jury's on board with this one. 5th place, 82 points, including a high score of 10 from Portugal's jury. In the online vote, no surprise, 14th place, 44 points. I don't know what it is about Albania, because they've had plenty of ballads in the past and nobody's really given much of a crap. But in the past 2 years, it's as though people have suddenly started talking about Albania a bit more, and the appreciation has certainly been there in the jury voting. A very floral-looking performance here. Nicole sang great, very impressive. Dress, flowers all over it, flower in hand, swaying from side to side. Fairly catchy, fairly easygoing stuff. Didn't become too over the top, if you see what I mean. It was all very nicely executed. I have nothing bad to say about it whatsoever. The song is not one of my favourites though. The same can also be said for song 4, which was Armenia. In my opinion, not one of their strongest, but they usually do very well at Junior Eurovision, and this year it's another top 10 result. 8th place, 125 points, one less than Albania. 10th in the online vote, 7th in the jury vote, receiving a high mark of 12 from France's jury and neighbouring Georgia's jury. Leo with Cosmic Friend, white outfit, dancers in silver foil-like attire, this space age look that they were going for, circular platforms on stage 2. He was really going for it, he was having a great time, and the enthusiasm really came through watching the live stream, and all credit to him, because I think he was owning the performance. And I say this all the time, you've got to go out there, and even if you're not the most confident individual, if you can show that you are owning what you are doing, the points can pour in. They absolutely can. And I'd say perhaps my favourite thing about this performance was his energy. So, good job. Good job. Not one of my favourites, but good job. And it definitely stood out as well. Then we have Cyprus returning after many years away. This was Crystal Waters by Maria Pisarides, co-written by former Junior Eurovision Cyprus representative Sofia Patsalides. This finished 13th with 60 points, much better in the online vote, 9th place. In the jury vote, second last with 10 measly points, so 13th overall, as I just said. A high mark of 4 from the Armenian jury. I think the juries, when they came to vote, looked at this and thought, to be honest, I only really remember the dance break. It's almost as if the dance break made people forget about the rest of the song, if you see what I mean. Maybe that's what happened in the jury voting. I have no idea. We went from a very watery, looking performance to a very fiery looking performance, a very elemental look to proceedings here. I think she performed quite well. White dress, dancers, loosened up as the 3 minutes passed by, a bit of choreo, crowd seemed to enjoy it as well. I've got nothing bad to say about it. A really solid return. Just a shame that the jury vote was quite disappointing for this particular number. Then we move on to France. I missed half of this at the time because I was busy getting my dinner. This was Titouan with Comme Si Comme Ça. Very dark, but we did have some colour in the final third. I'm interested to know why they kept this fairly simplistic. To me, it's almost as if they didn't really know how to stage this. Bit of choreography, he sang well, looked pretty smart in a white suit and jeans by the looks of it here, yes. Patterns all over his top. Working the camera, looking fairly confident. It is an uplifting, quite jaunty tune, which makes me question why it came across as so dark for 2/3 of this. Anyway, it's another great result for France at Junior Eurovision. 177 points, 4th place, 4th in the online vote, 3rd in the jury vote, a high mark of 10 from the Armenian jury, the Georgian jury, the Dutch jury, and the Irish jury. Yes, every single jury gave this something, which is not surprising. A very accomplished performance. Nothing bad to say about it at all, and I certainly have nothing bad to say about North Macedonia. Song 7, Anna and Alexei with Marathon, 16th place, 54 points, really quite disappointing. Last in the online vote, Tut Tut, with 34 points. 11th in the jury vote, just 20 points though, including a high of 5 from Italy. I think the two of them worked very well together, and I think they were really going for it. That enthusiasm again was really coming through. It has to be admired. Not much happening visually. I think the crowd were really enjoying it, certainly, singing along with the Run 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 part. He was in a sort of black, long cape style outfit. It's not a cape, more like a jacket. You know what I'm on about. She was wearing a pink jacket, and she sang very well indeed. And towards the end, we had this sort of Rainbow Road from Mario Kart looking thing on the backdrop. Really good stuff. My appreciation for this song has certainly grown, and I do think it stood out quite a bit. So naturally, very few people voted for it. Such a shame. I thought it was a really good job, well done. Absolutely. Song 8 was Poland. Oh my goodness me, can you smell the cheese? Because unfortunately for me, this did veer a little bit too much into cheesy territory. This was Dominik Arin with All Together. I think he sang quite well. I know I'm repeating myself here, but I do think he sang quite well. Perhaps this should have all been in Polish or all in English. I think he was more comfortable singing in Polish myself. A blue colour scheme, birds against the sky on the backdrop, smoke machine in effect as well. Thankfully it didn't block the camera. Dancers with him as well. At the end, this age progression image of him was on the backdrop. What was that about? Didn't look great. Sort of did ramp up the cheese factor. So if I do have a negative about this performance, it was that, because I didn't really understand why it was there. But on the whole, not a bad track. And again, not one of my favourites, but my appreciation for it has grown since watching all of the songs in order last weekend. If we take a look at Poland's result, 12th place, 61 points. 11th in the online vote, which is a little bit low for Poland, it must be said. 15th in the jury vote. That's quite low. A high of 8 from Portugal's jury, who clearly love a ballad. We move on to Spain. I'm skipping Georgia for now. When I saw this on Saturday, I wasn't blown away, but I thought to myself, my God, this is going to take some beating. Spain were clearly really trying hard to win, and that very clearly came through for me. Chloe de la Rosa with Como la Lola. Blue, yellow, pink. Didn't love the colour scheme, but certainly it stood out. It was very vibrant, it was very playful, it was very age appropriate, it was very Junior Eurovision. At one point, these fake tour dates appeared on the backdrop, and I think some of them were for dates before Chloe was even born, which was very interesting. Smoke machine, I think there was a bit of fire at one point as well. The crowd were loving it. In the rehearsal clip, we could actually see Chloe holding the phone. I think they scrapped that because maybe it wasn't quite working. actually the sort of phone effect, if you see what I mean. I think they scrapped that. But on the whole, this was very enjoyable. In the online vote, this underperformed slightly. 5th place, 64 points. And in the jury vote, 6th place, 80 points. So 6th overall, 144 points. Receiving a high mark of 10 from the Cypriot jury. Nothing from Poland's jury, who clearly thought this was 50 Shades of Irritating. I enjoyed it very much. I thought it was not necessarily a cut above everybody else, but it looked so much like a winning performance to me. It really did. And there was choreo, and she was having fun, and there was a bit of sass, and she was completely at ease on that stage, owning the performance. How many times do I say it? That's what you need to try and do. I think she did a smashing job. And if anything, I think Spain will be very disappointed they didn't challenge harder for the win. But in hindsight, is it much of a surprise that the jurors preferred things like Portugal and Ukraine and certainly Georgia? Maybe not. We move on, though, to Song 11. Yes, Spain was great. Song 11 was Germany. Well, this wasn't too bad either. They went for a sort of mystical, paradise-looking thing on the screen behind Bjarne. This was Save the Best for Us. He sang very well. Very well, very impressive. I think the issue here was not him or the dances he had with him, little podium on stage as well. I think it was more this song didn't quite know what it wanted to be, whether it wanted to stay melancholic throughout or quite up-tempo throughout. And in the end, we got an interesting blend of both. Still, not a bad performance whatsoever, though. 11th place, 71 points. In the online vote, he finished joint 7th, which isn't bad, with 57 points. In the jury vote, 13th with 14 points, so 11th overall with 71. He received a high mark of 7 from the French jury. Fair enough. A very universal message to this track, how we need to, do our bit for the planet and that sort of business. Very nice. I've no complaints. If anything, a tad underrated. Next up, the Netherlands. This was alright as well. A pink colour scheme predominantly. It feels to me as though if you don't know what colours to use in your performance, this applies to the adult competition as well, absolutely, go for pink and purple. I really don't like that colour scheme. So many performances have it. It is what it is. We had mirrors on stage as well, which I think were only there so they could change their outfits ever so slightly. 3 girls and the guy. This was Stay Tuned with music. The problem with the Netherlands is that we are so used to getting this stuff from them now, so I think next year it's time to go full heavy metal. This finished in 10th place with 91 points, joint 7th in the online vote, 10th in the jury vote, receiving a high mark of 7 from the Armenian jury, and 10th overall, 91 points. Really nice song, perfectly fine performance, but I suppose people just found it a little bit meh. When you look at the recap, maybe this one doesn't stand out quite enough. They were energetic, it was quite lively at times, absolutely, and also, I noticed it straight away, that they were wearing green and white striped jackets for some of this performance, and that was very Ralph Mackenbach. If you remember him winning, the only win the Netherlands have had at Junior Eurovision, he was wearing a sort of blue and white striped outfit. And I thought to myself, is that a nod to Ralph's outfit all those years ago? I wonder. But yeah, job well done. I know I keep repeating myself, but it was a job well done. Ralph Mackenbach, for the record, has a PhD, and you can read his thesis online. Very smart young man. We move on to Song 13, which was San Marino. I expected this to finish last, and it did. Idols SM with Come Noi. Nice to see San Marino back, and I hope they try again next year. This song was written by Mi Odio, the very first San Marino representatives at the adult competition. This was last in the jury vote, 1 point from neighbouring Italy, and joint 12th in the online vote with 46 points, so 47 points in total, 17th place. This wasn't bad. I didn't expect much, and I think that was because of the music video, which felt very hastily put together in my opinion. But here they were, black jackets, t-shirts wrapped around their waists, sounding pretty identical to the studio version, lots of squiggles on the backdrop behind them, little bit of choreography, but certainly not too over the top. Not bad. Again, my appreciation for the song has grown. But we move on to Ukraine, and this was very impressive, very polished. This was Artem Kotenko with Hear Me Now. This finished third with 203 points, second in the jury vote, second in the online vote, receiving a high mark of 12 from North Macedonia's jury and Poland's jury, but nothing from Armenia, who were watching a different show entirely. Yeah, I really do like this. White outfit, a bit of a glam rock thing going on as well, with the sparkles. Maybe that's just me thinking glam rock. He had a couple of dancers with him, absolutely, yes, and they were holding these mirrors. I use that term because they look like mirrors but with no glass in them. And they lit up and they were moving them around him all throughout the song. Quite lively, really looked very polished. He sounded great, was having a good time, very confidently executed. I have nothing bad to say. We move on to Portugal. This was song 15, of course. Victoria Nicole with Esperança, Hope, a song she'd written herself. Second place, their best result to date, 213 points. I think Portugal are gearing up for that first win. I really do. I think this is a country that more often than not probably will do all right in the online vote. And if the juries are on board, then that first win will come sooner rather than later. Victoria won the online vote very comfortably. I did vote for her. 117 points. In the jury vote, 96, fourth place. That is almost 100 points behind Georgia, which I find absolutely shocking, to be honest with you. In the jury vote, Portugal received one set of 12 points from Germany, nothing from Armenia, as I just said, they were watching a different show, and San Marino's jury also gave this nothing. Not much to the staging. It was a performance where the vocals were allowed to shine, light blue dress, sounding great, smoke machine, piano at the start, which then cleared off. Yeah, she nailed it. Really, really looking comfortable on that stage, and like I said, letting the vocals do all of the work. They really shone through. A really fantastic result. Song 16 was Ireland. This was Enya Cox-Dempsey with Lekela, and this was a lot of fun. We had various colours on the backdrop and lyrics appearing at certain points as well. A couple of dancers. Enya herself was wearing a dress with tassels all over it. Bit of choreography, very catchy stuff, one of my favourites of the year, so naturally nobody else really thought so. This finished in 15th place with 55 points, tied with Estonia actually. In the online vote, 16th place, rubbish, and in the jury vote, 12th, with a high mark of 5 from the German jury. This was a lot of fun. I have nothing really to say about it. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I think she's got a bit of star quality. I look forward to any new music that she comes out with in the future. She should perhaps be in the Irish national selection for the adult contest within the next few years, in the Irish language, bopping about on stage. A great time was had by all. What a shame the points did not pour in. Then we have Malta, who closed the show. Ramirez Shibaras with Stila Chena, which I'm still mispronouncing, my apologies. This was very touching. This was slightly cheesy, but wasn't taking a leaf out of Poland's book, with all due respect. We had images of a younger Ramirez on the backdrop with his family, this sort of sun on the screen behind him as well. He sounded very good, black outfit, looking very comfortable, sounding fabulous. Third in the online vote. Where did that come from? I said last week, the public often ignore Malta completely, including at the adult contest. Third in the online vote this year. Where did that come from? I don't know. 79 points, not bad at all. 8th in the jury vote. 5th overall, with 153 points, a high score of 10 from the San Marino jury. Very nice. Didn't feel too schmaltzy. Felt quite touching. Fairly emotionally charged, I would say. Clearly a very personal song to Ramirez, and I think the crowd responded warmly to it. That leaves Georgia, doesn't it? I've listened to this song about 4 times now, and I still could not tell you the melody of it. It's a very beautiful track. It's a very beautiful track. I think Georgia winning this year is a bit of a statement win. Yes, it now means they've won more times than anybody else, surpassing France, but I also think this is evidence that songs clearly aimed at children is not necessarily the way to go. This is quite a grown-up entry. It's quite an accomplished track, and people voted for it, not nearly as much as Portugal and a few others, but the juries wet themselves when they saw and heard this, and that's what made Georgia win. It's almost as if the juries definitely wanted this to win and scuppered any other country's chances of success. It is a mature sounding effort, and it's very interesting to me because of course we had Camille Camille win a few years ago as well, and that's not really a song really aimed at youngsters at all. So I think Junior Eurovision has changed a little bit. Do you remember all those years ago when Georgia won with 3 people dressed as bees? I'm not sure you'd get anything remotely like that doing well at Junior Eurovision again. I'm not sure you would. But what do I know? What I will say about this song by Andrea Putkaradze, To My Mom, I think the staging helped matters. This half living room off to one side, a story being told, a dancer, maybe a little bit of a distraction. I wasn't really going along with it myself. Andrea himself sang very well. I think that definitely worked in his favour. He owned the performance. Very touching, very beautiful, almost like Portugal's win in the adult competition back in 2017. This feels like that moment at Junior Eurovision now, if you see what I mean. It's not one of my favourites. I can't rank it very highly at all, but I do appreciate it more than I did this time last week. In the voting, 239 points on top. Very impressive. It's their 4th victory, as I just said. He won the jury vote by such a margin. I could not believe what I was damn well seeing. And I have to say, the lowest score he got was 8 from France and Poland. To have so many juries unanimously agree that this was the bee's knees, I find that really surprising. Really surprising. And I'm not saying something dodgy was going on, far, far from it. But I find that really surprising. Because I just can't believe it, because Portugal's song was right there. And almost every jury thought that Georgia was better. And I just find that quite surprising. It's unlikely that you would have that many 12 points in the jury vote going to one song. It's somewhat unprecedented. And it sort of made the voting a load of rubbish, because I thought maybe Ukraine were going to do it at one point. I thought maybe Portugal were going to do it, especially once they got that huge online score. But yeah, Georgia were 6th in the online vote, 59 points. And that was enough to see them win by 20 or 30 points or so. Yeah, I have nothing else to say about it. I was shocked at the time. I'm still a little bit shocked now. I don't think I've really loved any of the Georgian winners. I think I can safely say that I've never really loved any of the Georgian winners at all, but they know what they're doing, and this was a very touching, well-staged, well-sung effort. So credit where credit is due. Next year, I'd like a country to win that has never won before. It's about time. It could be Portugal. We'll wait and see. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this year's Junior Eurovision. I have rambled for the ages here, and I do apologise, but that is pretty much it. Like I said at the start of this video, I think I said it, once I have ranked the songs and called it final, of course it's never really final, I will probably put that on my community page here on YouTube, or somewhere else on my other social media pages. If you're at all interested, then keep your eyes out for that. I will be back soon with an adult competition related video, and it will be another what we know so far video, because we have the Belgian acts now, we have the Luxembourg acts as well, and before you know it, within the next fortnight I think, we may well be getting the Swedish lineup. So until next time, apologies if the quality wasn't that great, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye for now.